We need to know this.
We are trying to explain.
Wisely in 2 weeks.
We don't know what we're voting about because
and insist on that in the elections, and then they're not going to speak before the elections, I don't think, but make it happen after the elections.
We're keeping them in the shin.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, we'll have one last round of questions. Yes, over there.
Yeah, I have a question about the currency. The Icelandic lovely krona, which I deeply love and respect and hope that we can keep as a currency. You as an economic hitman, some of the methods that you used, you try to destroy the currencies of the nations and make them helpless in controlling their economy. Can you elaborate on how we stand towards the losing of our currency and how that fits into our losing our independence and control of our economy?
Okay. There was another question over here. Yes?
I'm just wondering about this trust issue, because now we're supposed to elect people on Congress. We're supposed to give our vote to these people that decide our future. But still, I mean, I haven't seen one reason why I should cast my vote to anybody here in Iceland.
Okay, so this is your trust. Over there.
Thank you all for your lectures. I just have a question to Mr. Perkins. Our most probable ally in doing this would be China, probably. And I would like your opinion on that. You say they've got the most money in the world now, and are holding the most debt. And, yes, but, and so, what is your opinion? Because you need an ally, or you need someone to help you along. But this group probably doesn't agree with China. But what would you think about it?
Well, regarding currency, oh, there you are. You know, I was very involved in Ecuador. I was a Peace Corps volunteer there for 3 years. I have 3 godchildren there. I go back a lot now, and I'm involved with Jaime Roldos. Ecuador, about 7 years ago, was forced by the IMF to get rid of its currency, the sucre, and dollarize instead, take on the dollar. It was a disaster, catastrophe for Ecuador, just a terrible, terrible disaster. I think that's one of the worst things you could do, if that's even in the offing here. I'm not aware that it is or isn't. I'm just not familiar with that issue. But I will say this. We now have this president of Ecuador, Rafael Correa, who has a PhD in economics from the University of Indiana. He knows the subject. He knows how to talk to bankers. He also speaks Quechua, an indigenous language, French, Spanish, and English. He's a pretty amazing man. And he's just pushed through a new constitution in Ecuador, which 69% of the people of Ecuador voted in favor of. An amazing constitution that gives inalienable rights to nature, as well as people and indigenous people, to plants and animals. First one in history. Many countries are now studying that. Now he's taken on a new, in fact, one of the nonprofits that I have found is very involved in this process. Now he's taken on a new job, and that is to come up with a new currency that's based on commodities and has no interest rates. No usury at all in it. I think Ecuador may be the first country that's going to do this. And so I would strongly recommend watching them. If you can put together a couple of people here that are really interested in this subject, go on to Ecuador and meet with them. And I can help you get in touch. Go to the Pachamama lines. We're funding a lot of the activities that are going on with that. Take a good look at this. I mean, because Ecuador is looking at it very hard. And what we do know is going onto the dollar is a catastrophe. Coming up with a currency that's commodity-based is an innovative new approach. And I don't know whether Iceland's ready for that yet or not, but I think Ecuador is. I can't speak for Iceland. So, yeah, I would, don't take on the dollar.
What about the euro?
I wouldn't take on any currency like that unless it's a commodities-based currency. I think we're moving into
Do you recommend an alliance with South America?
New Euro. Okay, that gets into the question of China, and you just asked me, do I recommend an alliance with South America? I recommend that Iceland connect with, and I don't know what you mean by an alliance exactly, there's many forms of alliance, but connect with every country that has similar problems throughout Africa, Asia, Latin America. Connect with those countries that have this debt problem. Connect with those countries. Latin America now is forming a lot of good alliances where they're coming together, all the countries that owe the IMF and the World Bank, and they're all together saying no. What are they going to do? You know, I mean, South America probably has more oil than the Middle East. That crescent, the Amazon crescent that flows from Venezuela through Colombia, Ecuador, Bolivia, Peru, part of Brazil. Huge amounts of oil. They're all banding together. Alliances are good. They can be very loose alliances, but stand up together against this absurdity. China's an interesting case. You know, I just came back from Ecuador. I met with a number of heads of states there and their staff. And one of the things they tell me is we'd much rather take loans from China than the World Bank, the United States, the IMF. Because for one thing, China doesn't have they tell me, and I'm not speaking from personal experience, but China doesn't have the conditions attached. They do not force people to hire Chinese companies to do things. You know, they don't give you a loan and say, give it back to us to hire our companies, but still owe us the interest. And the other thing is that, despite the fact somebody over here yelled out that China killers, and the Tibetans would surely agree with you, and a lot of people in China would agree with you, but if you go around the world, in Latin America, China's never had a military presence. The United States has. Africa's never had a military, China's never had a military presence in Africa or the Middle East. In much of the world, as far as I know, they never had a military base here. The United States did. The United States has military bases in almost 140 countries. So China is viewed in many places throughout the world as a better source of funds than the United States or its puppets, the IMF and the World Bank. So you might want to look to China. But I especially recommend coming together, working with other countries that have problems similar to yours, and there's a lot of them in the world that do. And if you all work together and stand up to the bully together, if everybody starts kicking him in the shins, he's really going to cry.
I'd like to ask the Minister for Environment Culture to close this session, because she wasn't here to open for us.
I'm so sorry that I couldn't reach that. My schedule is a bit busy these days, so I'm so sorry I didn't come here in time. But I'm extremely happy to have been able to come and listen to what's happening here, not only from the panelists, but also from the group of guests. Well, we are dealing with a bully. Everybody knows that. And we now know that we can kick the bully in the shins. So we kick the bully, and that's what we're trying to do. But most of all, we need to take this message, like I said, and carry them on, talk to everybody that we meet in the streets and in our families, and ask people the questions that have been asked here.
Where is the media? Hello.
These are the questions. You go to the media, you ask those questions in the media, and you answer them in the media. Not only ask questions, but answer them for yourselves. Ask them to the politicians. Ask me like you did. Ask every politician the questions that you've been asking here. And demand answers. Demand the truth. And of course, you should get the truth. And the only way for us to build a society, like John described, a safe, sustainable, just and peaceful, is that we have a truthful conversation, the government and the people. That's what we are doing here, and we should do it out in our society every day. Thank you.